So through this entire time with Hurricane Laura, then the other hurricanes that affected Louisiana, we have continued to try to help people in need. The difficulty is that there's so many people that need help, and they're trying to do the right thing. People have tried to keep their animals. We have tried to offer spay neuter to people, which if they don't have the money, the burden is on us. If they can't feed their animals, the burden is on us. We have been very lucky. We have gotten some food donations from the greater good. We have gotten some grant money from other organizations, and we have been able to get a little bit of money through donors. But this area is so affected, and then the second storm hit that exact same area again. So the challenge is people trying to do the right thing and keep their animals have now had insult to injury. So even if they were intending on going back, maybe now they've lost everything, or they have started to rebuild and then they can't take it anymore, or they've tried to stay with family members and now they've got to stay twice as long. So the numbers, the two hurricanes in that area, the challenges in this state, the impact, the last hurricane we had that affected, lower Louisiana, coastal Louisiana, Leeville, we help people in that area. The need is now so tremendous. And with all the hurricanes, on top of COVID, on top of already poor, the challenge is overwhelming. The number of animals being requested to be surrendered, there's not enough space anywhere, and the only way to help people is to help them keep their animals. And we can't get the support. Animals are being turned in to animal control, and the people are trying to go find their animals. And the irony of the whole thing is there are people who want to give up their animals, and then there are people looking for their animals. So on a day we may get 10 people trying to surrender animals and 5 looking for their animals. And while we haven't taken anything from that area, desperate people are looking everywhere, and they have been told they can't go in the shelter at Calcasieu Parish and look for their animals. I actually asked, I called myself, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that people couldn't go look for their animal at the animal shelter. I actually called myself and I was told, no, they are not allowed to come in. The process is they have to send a picture of their animal, and then the person at animal control would determine if that was their pet. Now, I don't know how many people have done rescue in hurricanes, but I can promise you the cat that you left behind because you couldn't get it in a carrier and the boat was coming and the water was rising probably doesn't look like the same cat that I pick up 10 days or 2 weeks later that has been on its own in a flooded out house. Doesn't even look like the same animal. Same with dogs that have been running the street for 2 weeks. So for someone who's not that pet's owner to make the determination that it's not their animal is, again, just something I can't even fathom. That's almost sounding like you don't want them to get their pets back. And then the crazier thing is the pictures posted on the website of the animals that are in the shelter, half of them are behind bars, they're behind the cages, they're behind chain link fences, they're blurry, they're distant, the animal's moving. Half the time you can't tell what it is. You can't even tell it's a dog, and if it's large or small, it's kind of a whitish blur with black. So you wouldn't know if it's your animal. I wouldn't know if it's a picture of my animal. And I would want to go find out if I thought it looked like it, but now I can't go. So the thing that's crazy is we don't want animals, we don't want people to turn in their animals anywhere else but to animal control. Then animal control doesn't want to give them up. That just doesn't even make sense. It's exactly opposite what we do every single day. We want people to either keep their animals or go get them from animal control. And then the other crazy thing is you try to work really hard as a legitimate rescue I'm sorry, I'm sure there's a lot of corruption in every state, but in true Louisiana style, we're working hard and we're trying to get donations, and I have rescues coming saying they're going to go help and they're going to go bring food to people in those areas, and they're giving it to other people. The food never makes it to that area. I had a person write down on a piece of paper, I said, this food needs to go to DeQuincy, Louisiana. They wrote down on a piece of paper where the food was going, and there was a Facebook post a day later by a different rescue thanking that person for the food they gave to them, and the food went to New Orleans. Not to DeQuincy, not to the disaster area, but to an area that didn't even need it. And I'm sure there's plenty of rescues that need food, and we do everything every day to help every rescue we possibly can. The idea for us, the reason we spay neuter for other rescues, we distribute food to other rescues, is the more capacity we have to help, the more rescues there are that have the ability to help more people, the more we can do and the more animals we can save, and the fewer die in Louisiana. But if rescues scam other rescues and scam donors, now we can't get the money from the donors, the big national donors, to the responding organization. And I didn't say that, but I might want to point out right now, I was told point blank that those donations from the greater good are for the responding agency. That was a direct quote, because I asked back, are you telling me the donations are for the responding agency? They said yes. And I said, I thought that the donations from that organization, given by people with goodwill to help hurricane victims, belong to the hurricane victims, not to the responding agency. Yet we still couldn't get help from the responding agency. So the whole situation is unfortunate, and the worst part about it is there are animals that were brought to animal control because they're given no choice. Those animals were never given the opportunity to be reunited with their owners. They were shipped out who knows where, and people can't be reunited with them. There were resources that were donated for people that were never filtered down to the people they were for. And then the donations that had to be garnered because those didn't go where they were supposed to go get taken advantage of by dishonest rescues. So if we're ever going to get Louisiana to a different place, or the whole country for that matter, with animal welfare, it's got to be, there's got to be a better way to make sure resources go where they belong. And in actuality, in a disaster area, what better situation is it to take the legitimate rescues in that area and let them help the people in that area that they already help? Then you can help bring those people's animals in. You can hold them. We held animals from the flood of 2016. We held animals 90 days for people. There were people who we did a 30-day stray hold and held some of those animals beyond that before we ever sent them out for adoption or transfer. And we even held animals for people who knew they couldn't get back into a house until they had their resources and their money or whatever from insurance. I mean, we held animals for people that came and visited them. We had one family that actually got their animals back on Christmas Eve. You know, that's what it should be about. The local people, the local rescues being given the help and the resources by the bigger organizations to help the people in their area, to build community and help the community rebuild that has been destroyed.